It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show. And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Well, if you're watching this special episode here, the Logan Power Show, we always know that age is nothing but a number, but your faith will take you more than anyone ever can see or imagine. We know how pivotal it is when it comes to voting and being aware of what's going on. I want to bring to a young man. He is a senior, is about to graduate this year from Academic Magnet High School here in North Charleston, South Carolina. He is going to be going to college this fall to major in political science. You want to hear what he had to say, but we're going to tackle what he talked about just recently when he spoke to the actual assembly for the state of South Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, let's welcome this powerful senior, Mr. Zuriel Nyamutsaka. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. It's good to be here. I just got done voting for the first time today. It was a really fun process. I had all my friends come out. I told them to get out to vote as well. Make sure that, like they said, souls to the polls today. That was the goal of today. And so we had a pretty good turnout. We've had over 30,000 people vote in South Carolina today on day one of early voting, which is something that's been really uplifting and really motivating to see people get out there, make their voices heard, and just really letting people know that their perspectives are being taken into account when it comes to the decision-making process that's going on in Columbia and Washington and at their local level as well.
Absolutely. Now, just to go back, it happened this month. You decided to take a bold move of faith. You decided to get in front of the South Carolina Assembly and to argue while the redistricting of the voting was going on. Can you tell people, just give people that may be unaware what's going on, what actually transpired and what made you decide to take this leap of faith?
So this whole thing for a 30-second recap. 10 months ago, we had this whole redistricting battle started in Texas, and then it kind of faded out for a little while. We didn't really hear about it too much, but then this Supreme Court case called Louisiana versus Calais came up and basically changed the way the Supreme Court interprets Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. So previously, race could be used as a factor, but not the defining factor to draw congressional lines just to make sure that minority voices have adequate representation. But with the new Supreme Court ruling, they determined that that protection that's been given to minorities to make sure that their voices are heard has been completely gutted. And so what we're seeing now is a scramble from a lot of different states to redraw their lines as quickly as possible to try and disenfranchise Black voters. We've been seeing that happen in Arkansas, in Alabama, and Mississippi, in Tennessee, very tragically. And then we saw an attempt happen in South Carolina. And so while this process was being debated, it ended up passing the House after a very contentious debate. And I would be remiss to not give some quick kudos to our House Democrats who were holding down the line until early in the early hours of the morning. We want to give them their flowers because they've been holding it down for us. And then when that vote ended up happening, when the bill advanced to the Senate, what they had was their Senate Judiciary Committee hearing. And so part of those committee hearings is to get public comment. And so I had signed up to go speak about the bill. And what I felt were some of the concerns that were coming, not just from me, but from people I'm hearing about the way the lines were going to be drawn and the way that the process was being done, because it was something that was very hastily done, something that was done with data that hadn't been updated in 6 years. It was just something that I felt I needed to speak about because I could see it was a can of worms that could open up into a huge amount of problems.
Yes, sir. We know that voting does matter, and you mentioned that party lines does play a role, and that certain groups of voices are sort of being diluted, and some are being elevated. But you took a very, as I would say, also a bold, um, articulate way of presenting a problem, and you said it in a very articulate, but you got a little harsh feedback from some people how you came across. You came across very, very respectable. You addressed that there's a problem that's been going on for some time, and by them making some changes, it does impact people in such a way. Can you explain to me why you decided to take the position of going up there? Because a lot of times we've seen many occasions where people say, well, he's too young. His voice doesn't mean anything. Well, you took it as like, hey, I'm coming up for a job interview. I'm coming up. This is I'm a business. I'm a voter. My voice does matter. What made you decide to say, hey, I'm gonna speak in front of the South Carolina General Assembly and let them know how I feel as a voter?
So the important thing that I think most people tend to forget is that the General Assembly works for you. You don't work for them; they work for you. They're supposed to be there to make sure that your voices are being heard and that the concerns that you have they can take into account and make decisions based on things that are going to be beneficial to you as a constituent. And so, just knowing that really gave me the reassurance that no matter like how intimidating it may seem, ultimately the General Assembly, like they're people who work for us. Like we they might be uh, and it's a very prestigious position that we sometimes attribute to them. And we oftentimes we think that there's kind of a barrier of separation between us and them, but really they're working for us and they're people who are there to make sure that our concerns are heard. And so knowing that really kind of takes away the fear from being up there because you know that the people who you're speaking to are supposed to be there to represent you.
Yes, sir. Representing you. But looking at that, it sounds good, but you see a lot of times that people don't really honor that particular rule of law. It's always saying like, yeah, your voice is being heard. Yeah, we're supposed to be for you, but it's not always the case. What makes you say I'm going to keep that pressure despite how society has treated it?
Well, I've always kind of tackled any issue, whether it be the way that, like with this speaking in front of the assembly or anything like that, is that you can't change the status quo if you don't do anything, and you can't get the result that you want if you don't do anything. Like I kind of have put it in this metaphor almost like, let's say that I have two boxes and you can't see what's inside the box, and I give you one box and I say there's a 100% chance that this box has nothing in it. Like there's nothing in this box. And then I give you another box and it says there's a chance that this box has nothing in it, but there's also a chance that it has $1 million in it. So you have to choose which box you want to open. And if you choose the box that you know has nothing in it, you're going to lose out. You know you're getting nothing. If you choose the box that may have something in it, you may get nothing, or you may get what you want. And that's how I feel whenever it comes to taking action. That's what taking action is. You may get nothing, but a lot of the times you'll end up getting what you want and in a better way than you thought would happen.
Okay.
So it's really just about taking that risk and being able to uh, know that you can't what you get is what you give, and if you put in the work, if you put in the effort to make your voice heard, then the results that you're going to get back are going to be reflective of the input that you've put in.
Yes, sir. Now, looking at yourself, you're going to college this fall and you're going to major in political science. So tell us, what is your dream aspirations? What are you going to try to do when 4 or 5 years from now, where are you going to be at when it's all said and done?
So that's a question that's it's a really good question and one that I'm still kind of grappling with as well. I definitely know that the main aspirations of what I want to do is I do want to help people, and I want to use government as a tool to help people because that's what I think it is. Whether that be in a municipal role or a legislative role or in any kind of elected role, or even somebody who's adjacent to an elected official, or even like somebody who might not be working in an elected position but is still a community advocate. Any one of those roles I always see myself being in, and it's something that I still can't say I have a fully fleshed out idea of exactly where I'll be, but I do know like the kinds of things that I want to do and where I want to surround myself. And I know that politics, law, community advocacy, those are all the main things that I'm really interested in doing. And just finding any kind of branch or career where I can continue to advance those things, I think I'll be satisfied in 4 to 5 years doing that.
Okay. Well, the school that you go to, let's piggyback your education. Academic Magnet is one of the top schools in the country, number one in the state of South Carolina. Um, how has your high school career been? Because the rigor at Academic Mag is nothing to play around with. You are challenged, um, and you are set to a standard. What made you choose that high school, and how has your educational career been for you so far?
So when it comes to academic magnet, I think the way that it shaped me primarily was just because we pull from kids who are all across Charleston County. You know, we have kids living right by the beach, then we have kids living way out in the cut in the country, and so it's a whole bunch of different people that are coming together, and you're rubbing shoulders with so many different kinds of people, and so you really think about issues that might not be present in your neighborhood, but are present in somebody else's neighborhood, and then you start thinking about, okay, how am I going to come up with solutions so that even if something's not affecting me, it's affecting my friend. And so, how can I help this person who's my friend? How can I help somebody who might not be my friend? That's another thing you got to look at as well, and something that a lot of times people grapple with. But you got to think about helping people who aren't your friends too sometimes, because when they say a rising tide lifts all boats, well, a sinking tide sinks all boats as well. And so, I think we got to. Being an academic magnet really taught me the value of learning about how different issues affect different people and how you can't because of the workload as well. One of the values that it instilled in me was being able to take action immediately and being instead of putting something off for later. Because if you put off a problem now, it's gonna the problems are just gonna keep mounting up. And so that's when I tell my friends, I'm like, hey, like we got to be doing something now. We got to be doing something here in the present moment. Like, what can we think about doing right now in the present moment in 2026 instead of thinking about, okay, we need to be looking further and further down the line. And while we can appreciate foresight, it's also important to understand to meet the moment where it is and to understand that there's things that are pressing right now that require our attention.
Okay. Well, young man, you sound like to me personally, you have a young man of wisdom. So I appreciate that your parents have instilled into you wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Um, where does that spew from? Is it spew from like you like you've been grilled by mom and dad, grandparents? Like where is this type of perspective? How who has been some big pivotal role people in your life that's put this perspective in your heart?
So I would say my grandfather, he's a huge inspiration that I've had in my life. Just hearing his story. So my grandparents are Congolese immigrants, and so they came to the United States around the 70s and 80s at a time where we were still coming out of an era where people were, we had things going on in the 50s and 60s that where radical change was happening. And so they came kind of at the tail end towards that. And so, but knowing that at the age that my grandparents were at, the age that I am right now, when my grandparents were that age, the world looked very, very different, and there was a lot of hard work that people put into making a world where I could grow up and I could have the things that they might not have had when they were my age. And so hearing like knowing about the hard work that they put in, that's something that really has instilled in me the value of being able to show up and work hard and try and make a difference in your community. And then as well, I would say just my mom always pushed me to know as much as possible, to read as much as possible, to consume as much information as possible. And so that kind of shaped me into always trying to be aware of what was going on in the world around me and the community around me. I've never really, and I find this a lot sometimes, which is very kind of disheartening with a lot of younger people, is that uh, I don't want to say this as like a flex, but it's almost like kind of an acceptance or kind of like there's not really a stigma around not knowing something when I feel like there should be a little bit more pressure for people to be like, hey, like keep up to date, be informed. And I'm not saying that you have to know the ins and outs of every single issue, but have the motivation to want to learn. Like, because if the motivation to want to learn is there, then that's a step where we can like, okay, where can we meet you now? We can meet you where you are and take you on this path so that you can learn more and do more and be more involved in your community. And there's another thing as well that I kind of learned from my parents is that you can't do everything, but you also can't do nothing. So in between everything and nothing, there's this whole spectrum of things that we call something, and everybody can do something, whether it's this amount of something or this amount or this amount. But there's an amount that everybody can do that can help out in and around maybe the house. And that's something that I learned growing up with my siblings, that everybody can do something to help around the house. Everybody can do something to help around the neighborhood. Everybody can do something to help around the community. And so that's something that was really just instilled in me growing up from my family, from my parents, my grandparents, and just the different people I had, my teachers as well. And those are the people that I really tie the motivations that I have now. I can tie them back to those people.
Yes, sir. You got it going on, young man, and we pray heaven's best for you. Final thought. I'm looking down the road. Based off of what you did, people are saying you need to get yourself in the hat when it comes to politics because fresh faces, fresh mindsets. People need to be encouraged. People need to be inspired. People need to be also to know that someone is the generation behind us, which you are, it's got something that's gonna, push through. At the end of the day, someone is watching this and they're saying to themselves, like, man, how old is he? He's only 18 years old, and striving to get better. Um, when you think about success and you think about where you want to be when it's all said and done, can you tell us, give me what, if you could talk to yourself 10 years from now, what do you want to be doing when it's all said and done? The floor is yours.
In 10 years from now, I really think that I just want to be in a position where I have a platform where I can help people, where I can kind of just let people inform people about different issues. Because one of the things that I really wish I could do now with the platform that I have is just letting people know about issues that are going on and letting people know that there's solutions to those issues that we can undertake if we all participate in them. And so just like kind of if I were able to build some kind of way of bringing people in to like some kind of like community organizing where I can bring people in and just rally around like a specific issue and then really like make a change about that using the amount of XYZ amount of people who are really passionate about that. So just really being a leader of a coalition. That's what I kind of envision myself in the next 10 years.
And you'll get there. Is there anything particular you want to see tackled these next couple of years? Something that you've seen going on right now besides the redistricting and the voting? Anything else in particular that you think people should be aware of?
I want to see more young people at the polls. Like when like I said, today was my first time voting. And one thing that really stuck out to me was I was with one of my friends and he turned 18 a little bit after I did. And so we're two 18-year-olds standing in line to the polls and we're seeing a lot of gray hair, a lot of wrinkles. And that's not to say anything because, we love our elders. But, I was saying with my friend, I was like, oh man, I really wish that there was some more younger people out here because if we don't come out here and we don't, let ourselves in on the decision making process, then in the future, the things that are going to be coming back in from Columbia, from town hall, from city hall, from state capitol, from Washington D.C., all those things are going to be affecting us the hardest because we're coming out into a world where it's going to be a lot harder than it was for our parents, for our grandparents, for our great grandparents, in terms of just the way that we can get started in life in terms of the economy, in terms of health, in terms of housing. There's things that we're going to need to tackle, and it's going to need all of our perspectives engaged in there because people always like to say that young people are the future. And while that is true, we're not just the future, but we're the now, and we need to be here meeting the moment right now instead of just putting it off for the future. And so if there's any one thing that I want to see tackled, it's I want to see more younger people getting registered to vote, getting involved, knowing who's on their ballot, knowing what it is that they stand for, the policies that they're looking for. Because right now in Charleston County, we have about 250,000 registered voters, and only about 7% are under 25. And so that's something I want to see that statistic go up. That's really something that I'm looking forward to seeing in the future.
Well, you heard the very first I have the Logan Power Stream. So Zuriel Nyamutsaka, 18-year-old, about to graduate. I promise you, this young man, this voice you're gonna hear a lot more of. So I want you to encourage him. If you see him on the street, tell him, say, hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate that your voice is being heard. We appreciate you're echoing your voice. To all the young people out there, here at the Logan Power Show, we want you to come on. If you're young, hey, we want you on here. If you're old, come on here. Let your voice be heard. This platform is designed that you will have a voice. You will get your voice out here. Trust me, it's all about us and making a difference. And we're going to make a difference here in 2026 and beyond. It's all the time I got. My name is Calvin, the Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. We make a difference. We trust in the Lord, and God's going to get it all done for us. We love y'all, and we'll see you soon.
All right, sir. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Zuriel Nyamutsaka.
Very good. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God.
Very good. Thank you.
So the reason that I'm here today, and for the record, I'm a high school senior at Academic Magnet High School in Charleston County. And the reason I'm here today is because I believe that for the longest period of time that the South Carolina General Assembly has kind of been afforded the luxury of anonymity as well as the luxury of being able to avoid the spotlight on a lot of hot topic
a lot of hot topic issues. So when it comes down to now, we're in a position where we are receiving national attention. The New York Times wrote an article about you guys today. And so now we're at a position now where we are receiving national attention. And the reason that we are receiving this is because we were presented a moment where we were granted the opportunity to make a decision. And I'm blessed to know a lot of you. I know Senator Tedder and Senator Sutton, and my friend knows you, Senator Kempson, Jack Tanzani. He says hi. But I also I don't know a lot of you, but I can judge and I can ascertain your character based on the decisions that you make when you're presented with a hard choice. And what I have seen is that most of you, some of you, not most of you unfortunately, some of you have decided to make the right choice, and you have not caved to pressure, you've not caved to an outside source, an outside influence. But when I've seen the majority come out and cave, and especially in the House, that's something that's extremely disappointing to me, because what I've seen is this is your decision-making process that's based on fear, and whether it be fear of the president and what he's going to do if you don't listen to him, fear of people turning out and voting. Isn't that crazy that we're afraid your elected officials can be afraid of people voting? Who would have thought? A fear of looking out for your constituents. I've seen that a lot of these committee meetings, sometimes you see that representatives and even sometimes, unfortunately, senators can't really, pay that much attention or look at when people are coming to make public comment. And so that's something that's very disheartening as well. And even fear of transparency, because if you can't actively and accurately disclose the full details of what's going on, there's nothing that you should be afraid of and nothing that you should have to hide. So while I cannot control your fear, while I can't make you unafraid of something, I'll say this in what I said to some of my younger siblings as well, and some of the people that I've mentored in the past, is that I can't control your fear, but I can stop you from making an action based on fear. And that's what I'm here to do today, because by sitting in listening, and even today, before I listened in here today, it was very, very clear that by any reasonable measure that this is a very, very unreasonable position to take to be in favor of this redistricting measure. Number one, because the data that we have is not accurate. The data that you would have to be making this redistricting procedure, you would be making it based on data that was made 6 years ago. I'm going to tell you this. I'm graduating high school, going to college this year, and 6 years ago I was still doing times tables. So if that puts into perspective how long ago this was, there are people who are probably going off to the first to second grade who were born after this redistricting process. That is, you're working on data that is outdated, very much outdated, and you do not have the data to pull from in a week to redraw these maps. And by any reasonable measure, you would say this is something that we cannot do. But because there is this fear, it's pressure to make an unreasonable decision. In the absence of fear, there is no reasonable and quantitative and logical way that you could take $5 million and simply throw it up into the air. The only thing that can motivate somebody to do that is if there's something that they're afraid of. And it's fiscally irresponsible. It's practically, we heard the director come up here and tell about all the different hurdles that you'd have to go through. And the entire time I'm sitting through here, listening to this Herculean task that is being presented before you, if all these hurdles are really here and present, then there is no other motivator besides fear that would make you want to do this. And so, like I said, I cannot control your fear, but I can make an effort to try and stop you from making a decision based on fear that's going to impact not only myself, not only the other constituents and peers that I have, but also the 5 million people that are in South Carolina. I think that you have a duty to them not to act based on your fears, because some of them don't share those fears, and it would be a disservice to them to disenfranchise them based on your own fear. Yet again, we cannot control what feelings you might have, but we can try and influence you from making bad decisions based on that fear. And like I said, many people may not be familiar with specific legislators, but we do know that we can judge you based on your character, based on the decisions that you are here to take. And I appreciate and I applaud the Republican senators and the Republican legislators who have taken opposition against this. Even though I might not agree with you policy-wise, I can recognize and respect your character. And this leads to a wider point that younger people are waking up, younger people are realizing that even though we may not know exactly the ins and outs of the political system, we can recognize character. And we understand that regardless of party, that there is no respect for decisions that are made out of fear, and there is no respect for cowardice. And so we implore you to please, please, please make decisions that are based out of responsibility, fiscal responsibility, and a duty to your constituents. And do not redraw these maps in 1 week and throw $5 million down the drain based out of fear. Thank you.
Okay, would you,
18. Are you registered to vote yet?
Yes, ma'am. I registered last year.
Will you be voting in June and in November?
Yes, ma'am. I'm anticipating voting on next Tuesday when early voting opens up. It will be foreseen if this process will take place. And like I stated before, I'm not here to say that I can predict exactly what the members of the General Assembly will be doing in the future, but I can exercise my democratic rights and the values that I have, where I believe that I do have the potential and the political efficacy to make a change in the community that I reside in and the state that I reside in, to try and move the needle a little bit toward a future that in a process that I think will be beneficial for the people, and that is fiscally responsible, that is done diligently, that is done thoughtfully, and isn't rushed through in a week with such little notice, with data that doesn't accurately reflect data that when I was 6 years old, I was shorter than this. 6 years ago, I was shorter than this podium. So if we're using data from that period in time, and if we're rushing through this, then I think that's something that is very irresponsible. And even though I cannot ascertain whether or not members of this committee will be, because like I said, we're still at this stage right now where we're taking information in and we're hearing from different perspectives, but I think it's important that we have members of the community to be able to interact with their elected officials and to be able to come here without fear and without any kind of pressure or any kind of barrier, or feel as if there is something.
Could you wind up your answer to the question, because we have 72 people who want to speak.
Well, I appreciate the committee for having us here, and I appreciate them for all taking the time to listen to us all.
And I just want to say one last thing. I was on a radio show about this topic on Sunday, and the last question that the interviewer asked me is, what gives me hope in times like this? And what I told her was, what gives me hope are the young people, because you all are extraordinary, and I think a lot of us need to be careful because you're going to be coming for our seats.
Okay.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.